The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing web solutions which are a cut above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hi, this is Mia Mosinzia, also known as Mia No Time for Love. Check out my latest book, Missing: Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People, based upon a real-life relationship, available in print and ebook formats on Amazon. Do read it. I'm sure you'll love it. It's www.miamosinzia.com and www.amazon.com/miamosinzia.
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartradio, YouTube, iTunes, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Mike brings you great guests and interesting people from all across the globe. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another great episode of the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, check out the latest novel by well-known award-winning author Mia Mosinzia of No Time for Love, called Missing: An Extraordinary Relationship Between Two Ordinary People, based on real-life events that go through 4 countries, 2 strangers, and 1 target, where truth is an illusion and the ones you love will be the first to go missing. Check out the book on Amazon and other retailers, available on all formats today. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com and over 30 podcast platforms, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartradio. Also on Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Apple, Amazon, Audible, and coming soon to Podbean, Buzzsprout, Pandora, and TuneIn. Also heard worldwide on Geo7, Radio Public, Himalaya, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel, and follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with a wonderful author and scholar, and he is glad to be back on the Mike Wagner Show. We talked about some of his amazing books. We previously had talked about great deal on perfecting and reforming personal religion, A Fallen Record, The Christian Transgression, and of course, he also has another book that's going to be coming out very soon, Justification, and he's going to be talking about his book, Growth, and it's a book about poetry, about this wonderful gentleman putting into practice the Bible's counsel. And, of course, if you want to know more about the Bible, the Constitution just mixed together, I mean, tune your ears in right now. This guy is amazing. Live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Plus Studios, somewhere along the East Coast. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome back the very super talented author and Bible scholar and Constitution expert, Linwood Jackson Jr. Linwood, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us once again.
For sure. Definitely glad to be back. You're pretty excellent.
Oh, yes, and you're excellent as well, too. And I have to say, I mean, you talked about, about the Bible, the government, Constitution, and everything just all put together in such a simple form. I mean, I learned a lot from you. It feels like I'm in your class. So, and last time we spoke, you talked about perfecting and reforming personal religion and a fallen record, the Christian transgression, and you also have some other books as well too. A Battle of Hosts, The Controversy of the Sixth Seal, The Bible Sabbath, A Prayer for Change, and you can also find it on his website. He'll tell you about that. But he also has a couple of books. One's going to be out very soon called Justification, and he's got the latest book, Growth. It's a book about poetry. And before we get into all that, once again, quickly tell us how I got started, Linwood.
Yeah, the love. That's all I can say. The foundation for me, whatever I study, whatever I write about, the foundation is love, and the foundation is, getting to the definition of love, not necessarily from a societal standpoint or from what's traditionally accepted romantically, but there is a concept of love that is without romance and without society, that is actually without even us, and I couldn't find that definition anywhere until I cracked open the words of the Bible, and I studied them. I learned that, from that language, Hebrew, both Hebrew and Greek in certain contexts, the definition of love is edification, and being self-edified, edifying self for the purpose of possessing self in order to kindly or benevolently give the self that we are in possession of to other minds. So that's really where I got started, just searching and studying and practicing the definition of love.
Mm-hmm. And also, what was one moment to precisely influence you into getting into the Bible and also government and also studying the Constitution?
The one moment was when I actually realized I didn't have this code. I say code as in referring to genetics. This genetic code of the definition of love within my human being. You pass through certain things and you realize that you did this because you didn't have that going on inside of you. You did that because you were thinking this way. You did that because you were feeling that way. So for me, it was, why was I feeling a certain way at a certain point in time in my life? And I didn't have the definition, that I could rely on. And I had to, there was no one around me that had it. So I went and couldn't find it, cracked the Bible open, and there was that code. I was missing edification, and I was missing an edifying experience that was practical and that was revolutionary, and that made me react to the loss that I saw within myself.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we also talked about government as well, too. And also, you explained the role very well about the Bible being intertwined with government. Maybe you can just give us a quick recap about that.
Of course, yeah. I was led into government because the Bible's practical philosophy is self-government. And so, studying self-government, there's also illustrations of secular government within the Bible. And so as I began to study them, I began to see the two, self-government and practical secular government, intertwined with the definition of a state easily being defined by the Bible as being an entity not necessarily involved in the conscience of the person or in the life of the person, but in regard to their natural form, thereby allowing them to have that strength and liberty of conscience. So when I saw that this doctrine of a liberated, a free conscience, so far as is no other conscience is harmed, when I saw this doctrine in the Bible, I also inquired about our Constitution, and I found the same philosophy within our Constitution, and that led me to study the Constitution side by side with the government revealed in the Bible. And I actually put together a book. I was supposed to publish that book the last time we spoke, but I was getting so much comments and need for this book of poetry, and I ended up publishing the book of poetry. But this book on government, it shows how the Bible creatively illustrates the role of a secular government within the personal and devotional life of a citizen, and it shows the role that a secular government should hold within the personal and devotional life of a citizen. Mm-hmm. And the illustrations that are in the Bible, the language and the context of them. In this book, I break that down to show that the same sort of philosophy that we know that exists is the same one that's actually within the Bible, and that it shouldn't be tampered with, but it should be further studied, it should be further applied, and in a sense, modified necessarily to the age, because the Constitution in and of itself is an open document. It's not finished, it's not solidified. It's pending. It's still pending. So there should be an effort to go into it and to still, according to the age, positively, modify it. And I see that modification occurring through the philosophy that is within the Bible.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of the examples of the government and the Constitution, in accordance with the Bible? Like, I can think of the book of Romans and also, Corinthians. Like, give us some examples of how this is applied. Just a few examples would suffice.
Of course, yeah. There's an example where I'll go back to the example of Solomon. Solomon was dealing with the case of two women that were fighting over a child. And Solomon's solution was, we'll just cut the baby in half. You get one half, you get one half, and that way you both can have the child. And even if I don't know whose child it is, you two can just go away happy with the half that you want.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, the actual mother said to Solomon, you know what? Let her have the child. Let her. And just from that one comment, Solomon understood that this was the true mother. And in that instance, he gave this woman the child because her response was actually hers.
Mm.
So decoding that in the Bible, a woman figuratively illustrates a church. I know that takes a lot to really get that down, but figuratively, a woman illustrates a church.
Mm-hmm.
And Solomon, in a sense, represents state.
Mm-hmm.
So the two characters there are outlined for us as church and state. So you have two churches are coming to the state with an issue. And the way that the state handles it is that the state doesn't get into the policies of the churches. The state doesn't get into the actions or the discourses that are within the churches. The state actually lets the churches settle the dispute for themselves without unlawfully encroaching upon the church's positions or well-being or state.
Mm-hmm.
And the state, in a sense, doesn't let those two churches manipulate it to make a decision for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's illustrations like that where you conclude that the role of a state should be fair and biased without judgment, should not encroach upon the ways of a church or the operations of any kind of church. And in a sense, no church should be manipulating the mind of a state.
Mm-hmm.
Should let the state, if there are any issues it would bring to a state, let the state judge fairly without getting involved in any sort of way. So it's just little illustrations like that where you take the colorful language in the Bible and then you kind of strip it down and then you kind of readdress it in a real sense.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's really what that the entire book is about.
Mm-hmm. And do you think in today's society, with the separation of church and state and being very controversial, do you think it's being further enforced or think it's being abused? And what is society's view of it today?
Yeah, that's today's it's really different today when you look at the Constitution because so much has happened with the United States in and of itself. From the fact that the United States has literally been sold as a business.
Mm-hmm.
So it's literally been sold as a business, so that the operation of the Constitution, it's really awkward right now because the people that are in charge are looking at it as a business while we're looking at it as a state.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the way that it's being handled by society. It's kind of awkward.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I said it's the Constitution in and of itself is literally it's open-ended. There are subjects, for example, slavery. Slavery is not settled. That is still an open-ended discussion in the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
So by going into the Bible and looking how the language and the context of it is, you can just develop a better critique of it to advance it according to the age that we're living in.
Mm-hmm. And do you think the Constitution is still being respected by our current administration and past presidents, or you think it's getting further trampled?
It's definitely being manipulated. There's definitely ways that you can manipulate it while appearing to still follow it, and you can even the ways to follow it and still manipulate it. So I can't. Our current administration is definitely different. I'll say that.
Okay. All right. And also, too, we just wanted to get some clarification and, going from that and also to other illustrations where you have the Bible mixed in with the government and Constitution and everything. And how about some of the other illustrations? I think we talked about taxes last time, and maybe talk about that. And afterwards, you can also pick something that clearly illustrates the Bible between government, Constitution, or, whatever you could think of.
Yeah, I mean, another illustration is you have, in one instance, David later on in his life, you have David, he left, or I would say he relinquished his seat, and he left. And in this one particular instance, he left it to certain women or to certain concubines or something like along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
And just looking at the illustration again as David representing state, concubine or women again representing churches. The way that it's written in the Bible, I'm not really giving clear detail. I'm literally just passing through it.
Right.
But the way that it is again the issue or the statement of separation of church and state, where David left his concubines, and a concubine, for example, is an unmarried woman in reality. So breaking that down into the code of the Bible, it's a church, but it's a church that's really a denomination that is its own. So you've got a state leaving these churches on their own, no interference, and letting them live in the peace of their own mind and in the peace of their own being, even though in the Bible it's not written that way.
Mm-hmm.
The language and the application of it, the separation between church and state, and the independence that a state has a right to give to a church, to let that church survive on its own based on its philosophy. Whether it lives or it dies, it's up to the church.
Mm-hmm.
The state really has no being involved in the advancement or the decline of a church, and likewise no church really has any right in the advancement or any decline of a state. Mm-hmm. So it's the marker is really clear through various situations.
Mm-hmm. And we'll also talk about some of your other books as well too. You've got Heaven's Gate and Counterfeit, and Heaven's Genuine and Counterfeit Ministry, and you've also got A Battle of Hosts, The Controversy of the Sixth Seal, and we'll talk about the Bible Sabbath, and we also touched on A Prayer for Change. We'll talk about those along with your two other upcoming books, but first listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, check out the latest novel by well-known award-winning author Mia Motion Zia of No Time for Love, called Missing, an extraordinary relationship between two ordinary people based on real-life events that go through 4 countries, 2 strangers, and 1 target, where truth is an illusion and the ones you love will be the first to go missing. Check out the book on Amazon and other retailers, available on all formats today. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on themikewagnershow.com and over 30 podcast platforms, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Apple, Amazon, Audible, and coming soon to Podbean, Buzzsprout, Pandora, TuneIn, and also heard worldwide on Geo7, Radio Public, Himalaya, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel, and follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with author and Bible scholar and constitutional expert Linwood Jackson Jr. on the Mike Wagner Show. We talked about a couple of the books. Just do a recap: Perfecting and Reforming Personal Religion, along with the Fallen Record, The Christian Transgression. And also we like to touch a few other books like Heaven's Genuine and Counterfeit Ministry. And you also have Abala Host, A Controversy of the Sixth Seal, the Bible Sabbath, and a little bit more about A Prayer for Change. And tell us more about the books.
Yeah, each book, it goes back to the foundation of love. For example, Heaven's Genuine and Counterfeit Ministry. This is a book that in the first half it details just briefly, lightly, the philosophy that's within the Bible and how it relates to the personal devotional regeneration that our heart nor mind has to go through. Second half of that book, it goes into the book of the Revelation, the last book of the Bible, in chapter 13, and it talks about the quote unquote beast, which in the Bible, a beast is a state governed by a specific religion. So in this chapter, a specific state with a specific state religion is coming up and is rising, and is causing a bunch of havoc on this planet. And so this book is showing how we can recognize that this state is actually here and that we're living in that time. And I wrote the book, because there's just a whole lot about the last book of the Bible, but we're not in that time yet, and we're really not near it. So I just wanted to just put something out there for minds to become edified on, so that should they be alive in that time, they can recognize it and they can know. And that's also why I put out A Pray for Change, which is an audio book. I thought it would be a little bit simple to just put into words what I write, and it's just a brief audiobook on how you can apply the Bible's philosophy for that mental and devotional change that seems pretty difficult in practical life.
Mm-hmm. And also too, it also made me think too about the book about the Battle of the Sixth Seal, and you're saying that we're not in that time frame yet. And I just wanted to clarify one thing. I'm reading some articles about where we're in the first seal, the fourth seal. We're about to open the seventh seal. Some are saying the second, the third, the fifth, and sixth. And of course, my question is, what seal do you think we're about to go in, and what seals have been broken so far from your perspective?
Well, that's a good question. The way that those seals should be read is that each one of those seals, they link up with one of the previous churches from Revelation chapter 2 and 3. And those are not literal churches, Church of Ephesus, Church of Smyrna, Church of Pergamos. These are specific ages. They're churches of ages. Mm-hmm. and they're ages representing the Christian religion.
Okay.
And for example, you find yourself in the book of Revelation chapter 2 in Ephesus. The reason it's really called Ephesus is because at that point in time, Ephesus worshipped a specific god called Diana, the goddess Diana, and they also worshipped Jupiter and also the son of Jupiter. And this religion became what is known as the Catholic religion, to where Diana became Mary, Jupiter became God, the son of Jupiter was termed Jesus. And when you find the description of Ephesus, for example, you find that there is a controversy within it between the apostles there. There's a controversy of doctrine. Match that up with the first seal, and the first seal kind of figuratively illustrates what Ephesus is. Ephesus is a white horse with a very strong rider, and it's going forth to conquer and to conquer.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole point is that the conquering is through religion and through the philosophy that is within that age of the Christian religion. And so each seal going with each church, and then each seal with each church. By the time you get to the fourth seal, you're in the fourth church period, which is Thyatira, which actually takes place from 538 AD to 1798 AD through Papal Rome. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much when you get to the sixth seal and you hear the crying of the particular voices that have been killed for what they believe in.
Mm-hmm.
You then from the sixth seal you're still there in Sardis, which is the sixth church, and in that sixth church that's when the Reformation takes place.
Okay. And what church is the seventh seal?
The seventh seal, we are far from that, but that church is not going to be Christian. It's not going to be anything. It's just going to be philosophy, Bible philosophy. I guess that's all I could say right now for that church.
Mm-hmm. And of course, where can you find your books at?
You could find my books on Amazon. Amazon, just type my name in, Linwood Jackson Jr., or you could even find at my website, linwoodjacksonjr.com.
That is amazing. And we'll talk about his upcoming book, Justification, along with
Yes.
Growth. But first, listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look on a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable, custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, check out the latest novel by well-known award-winning author Mia Motion Zia of No Time for Love, called Missing, an extraordinary relationship between two ordinary people based on real-life events that go through 4 countries, 2 strangers, and 1 target, where truth is an illusion and the ones you love be the first to go missing. Check out the book on Amazon, other retailers, available on all formats today. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on MikeWagnerShow.com and over 30 podcast platforms, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on AnchorFM, iTunes, Google Play, Apple, Amazon, and Audible. Coming soon to Podbean, Buzzsprout, Pandora, and TuneIn. Heard worldwide on Geo7, Radio Public, Himalaya, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel, and follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with author, Bible scholar, and constitutional expert Linwood Jackson Jr. here on the Mike Wagner Show, and we're here to talk about your upcoming book, Justification, to be released sometime in 2021. But first, let's talk about your book, Growth, which is your latest, a book of poetry about you putting in practice about Bible's counsels. And tell us more about Growth.
For sure. And I just want to quickly go back. I dates a little bit. Sardis, Church of Sardis, that was the age post 1798 AD. Which should be likened to the Great Awakenings that took place in the United States, just that time frame period.
Okay, well,
that was the other Reformation I was mentioning. I wasn't that too clear and detailed. It was killing me. I didn't want to put that out there and not give the details.
No, trust me. I don't think you can get hate mail over that. It's just like, some people make mistakes. Some people leave out a word. I mean, you're not going to get crucified. Trust me. So, I mean, we all learned something too. So,
and that's, that also, I guess, goes back to the book of poetry, Growth, which has to do with, dealing with the aspect of personal inward loss and overcoming that. And that's a book of poetry, and each one of those poems, it illustrates my experience putting into practice the Bible's counsels, and also the joys and the sorrow of doing that from a human standpoint. The mental taxation and the inward frustration that can come from putting into the dietary devotional practices of the Bible. I creatively illustrate that through those poems, just to let the reader know, you're not alone in what you're going through, and whatever you're going through, your mind can handle it. And just look at these poems and look at the literature in them, and get strength to move forward in them.
Mm-hmm. And it also says, according to Isaiah 53:11, by his knowledge shall my righteous servant justify many. And
yes, that's the foundation of my newest book. That's going to start January, February, Justification.
That is fantastic. We'll get to that in just a minute, and more about growth, and maybe you can just give us a few illustrations how growth is related to the Bible. Maybe you want to throw in some verses. I have no problem with that. And maybe just a few examples on how to obtain growth, and also be in peace and not have a forced love. As you had mentioned on your website.
Of course, it's. You go back to the story in the book of Genesis, and the way that it's detailed in Genesis chapter 2, the individuals that are there created, they're not told how to love, they're not told when to love, they're not told why to love. but they're given a stipulation on what not to love.
Mm-hmm.
And so if the love wasn't going to be genuine, they would have gotten the entire blueprint and genetic code of what they were and were not supposed to do. But love isn't forced. Love has to come from, as is in that story, loss. Love has to come from loss. Love has to come from conflict. And love has to come from you realizing that yourself personally made a mistake that your thoughts and feelings thought were okay. Or your thoughts and feelings thought this was okay, but yourself really wasn't too sure about it. So that's really the main concept behind growth, is letting self marry the thoughts and the feelings. And, I illustrate that through the idea of male and female, which the male represents my heart, the female represents my mind, and their dialogue in every one of those poems, it shows the conflict between the heart and the mind, and how in the midst of all of that, there is still a human being dealing with that conflict. So that's just so interesting to me.
It does sound interesting. It's almost like being married to your personal self, and
Yes.
just having everything come together. And this may seem pretty new, but it's almost like common sense. Basically, it's almost like, in a nutshell, in a sense, you have to love yourself first, but of course, have God in it too.
Exactly. Because it's not enough for us to think that we are a God. Like that's just a weird concept. That's not true. We are creations, and we are creations created very poorly, and I say very poorly, meaning the nature within our own human being or human condition. It's very fractured, and it's fractured because that is our challenge as humans, to become perfect through our imperfection, and accepting our ugliness as a form of beauty that can lead us to intelligently accept who we are, to find out our highest potential. So that's the work of a genius. And that genius, the living God, is designed us for the purpose of discovering who we are through conflict. And I really wanted to illustrate that through my poetry, just so that whoever comes across it can know that what they're going through, it is the experience of a human being developing.
Mm-hmm. And of course, what are some of the common problems that get addressed too, and how can that be resolved through growth and also through God?
It's just like you said. It's personal marriage. My first book, Perfecting and Reforming Personal Religion, that experience led me to realize that the traditional definition of religion, as is based on community knowledge, is not necessarily the philosophy that the Bible advocates.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible is words. The Bible isn't a community. The Bible is firstly primarily words. It's a community that makes those words whatever they want them to be. And as words, that means that the Bible is intimate to the person. So taking those words and practically learning them, failing in understanding them, and coming back and recycling that failure to gain a better understanding, to successfully reproduce those words to gain knowledge of them. By his knowledge, my righteous servant shall justify many. That's the definition of justification. Justification is cleansing the mind through knowledge that we get through practically applying the Bible's philosophy and words. And that's really where the living God is involved in with that process, because we can only know so much. I can only know so much about me, and I can only see so much of my failure.
Mm-hmm.
But the counsels that are within the Bible, although written by human beings, the ideology behind them and the philosophy behind them, it's kind of beyond us when you study it by language and context. And so to apply that wisdom that is without us, in a sense, is to apply the wisdom within to a wisdom that is higher, and in a sense allowing us to understand who we are better, to love who we are better.
And of course, the Bible explains how it defines justification as opposed to what is traditionally taught. And what is traditionally taught when it comes to justification compared to the Bible? Maybe just give some clarification to what we're taught versus the justification of the Bible. In other words, justification of the world and society versus the justification of the Bible.
Yeah, and that's very detailed. That is a detailed question. The answer, I'll try to summarize quickly. The answer comes from how the image of the living God's chief apostle is seen crucified, suspended between heaven and earth. The way that the first apostles taught that is that the body crucified isn't supposed to be seen as a human body. In the book of Romans and in the book of Ephesians and in the book of 1 Corinthians, that body, Paul breaks down, is a figurative illustration of a religious philosophy. And that religious philosophy is a doctrine where, in order to please, quote unquote, God, you have to go through specific rites, baptisms, ceremonies. You have to honor specific holidays or holy days, feasts, and honor handwritten theological or theoretical religious theories written by theologians in order to please the eye of God. That's what that body represents as it's crucified.
Mm-hmm.
This is the traditional definition of justification, what that philosophy crucified represents.
Mm-hmm.
So to see that body crucified is to see the traditional definition of religion or traditional definition of justification absolutely annihilated.
Mm-hmm.
And to see that body away from that crucifixion and to see that body regenerated figuratively, it illustrates a new form of devotion, a form of devotion that is regenerated and has let go of that old way to take in knowledge. Just as you quoted in Isaiah, absolutely perfect. It's the aspect of personally knowing the living God's religious character through daily and consistently exercising our heart and our mind on his words to gain a knowledge so that then we too can in our own lives mimic that figurative crucifixion, to step away from old or former religious thought to embrace a living experience that is knowledge-based and that can govern us practically without us having to rely on theological theories or customs or rites or specific acts that we have to do. The act now comes from you living out the knowledge that you have gained from failing at and succeeding at and repeating the process of understanding what the living God's words are. So that's the real definition of justification, and that's how it differs from what is traditionally understood.
Mm-hmm. And do you think today's version of justification, today's society, do you think it's being enforced? Do you think that's being abused, that things being manipulated, or is it act like it doesn't exist?
It's being manipulated in a sense. And it's being manipulated in a sense because the age that we're living in, the pandemic is sort of accelerating what traditional religious thought is, because religion in a sense looks at society and looks at what it believes is superstitious and events that are mysterious as dictating the way that quote unquote a divine figure or the hand moving society is judging the human race. So the traditional form of justification is, at this point in time and at the time of this pandemic, it's being used in a way to let the mind, lose sight of what the Bible is actually saying, and we're getting away from knowing not simply just the words in the Bible. We're getting away from knowing our own self and how those words relate to us personally and practically, relying on, because of the force of this age, traditional handwritten standards that are not leading to any sort of justification that the Bible is teaching, but leading us in a way away from that to simply be manipulated, even grosser than has been in the past.
Mm-hmm. And do you think justification will change after the pandemic is done?
I don't think so. I think whatever is going on right now, it's affecting both the political and the religious world. Both of these worlds are benefiting from the very Twilight Zone type environment we are in. So once more of the dust settles from this pandemic and we see how that shakes out, both secularly and in the sectarian field, I think we'll get a better grasp. But the way that the folks of the religious and the political sectors are talking, the aspect of justification, which should be an issue right now, to know who we are personally and to accept who we are practically and to love ourselves entirely and each other according to that experience. It's fading. It's fading away, even though there is a definite cry for loneliness because of this pandemic. Divorce rates are rising because of this pandemic. So there's a lot that should get us to be reflecting on who we are as human beings, personally and devotionally.
Mm-hmm. And where can we find the book Justification and Growth at, your latest works?
Growth. You can find that on Amazon, also on my website. Justification is a book that is complete, but yet it is not published. But soon, in a couple of months, it will be. And
where and what is your website we can find all your works at?
It is linwoodjacksonjr.com, LINWOOD, and then jacksonjr.com, linwoodjacksonjr.com.
We're certainly looking forward to that. Once again, we're here with author Linwood Jackson, along with being a Bible scholar and Constitution expert on the Mike Wagner Show. Linwood, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely amazing as always. Looking forward to having you again soon. Just keep us up to date. And in just a couple of things, what can we expect from you in 2021 and beyond?
2021, I'm excited for Justification, but also I'm excited for I have a novel that I wrote back in 2011. I kind of put it away, but one of my buddies brought it up to me, and I kind of just told myself I need to publish this novel. It's a novel explaining the track or the path that a supposedly divine, undivine type God figure like Apollo or Hercules goes through. He doesn't really want to be above with the others, and he doesn't really want to be below with the others. So he's on Earth in a post-apocalyptic world, trying to understand how he can make right what he sees in his head about the current affairs of the beings around him. Mm-hmm. So that's also a little bit of an interesting, change for me. Mm-hmm. That's also another one in late 2021 that I expect to publish.
Mm-hmm. And we're certainly looking forward to that. And I can imagine right now, and God said, "Thou shalt publish."
That is awesome. It is sealed.
Yeah, sealed. That's right. And we're not going to 8th seal yet, but maybe we can sneak it between two. So, and finally, what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point, Linwood?
At this point, empathy. Empathy is all, empathy. Empathize not just simply with yourself. Go through the experience of learning how to empathize with yourself, so that you could take the experience of empathizing with another more serious and more detriment to your own growth and development as a human being, and also as someone who should be learning, if it is your will or your curiosity, just what the actual religious character of the living God is.
That is amazing. Once again, author Linwood Jackson, Bible scholar, Constitution expert here on Mike Wagner Show. A very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Do us a favor, keep us up to date. Love you back on in 2021 and beyond. And once again, tell us about your upcoming projects. What's your website? How do people contact you? Where can people purchase or check out your books?
Contact me. You could view me on YouTube. Type my name into YouTube. You'll see me there. My books are associated with my videos. Even if I'm a guest, my website is still there. My website is linwoodjacksonjr.com. Amazon, you could find my books on Amazon, or even you could type my name into Google, and my books are associated with wherever books are sold. And be on the lookout for Justification. That's really the major thing for me right now, especially from the comments that I'm getting from different people in the feel that I'm getting from them, the need to understand. There's a way to do things right, I'm hearing, but it's not in the churches, and it's not being taught in the seminaries to be given to us. And a lot of people are seeing that, and this pandemic is bringing out a whole lot because it's causing isolation to show self.
Mm-hmm.
And with that happening, a lot of people are realizing that what I've been believing isn't sustaining me as much as it was before. Why? Or, now that I'm alone, I'm thinking about this, and I really don't think this is in the Bible, but I'm taught this. Like, why? And justification just deals with every single question related to what we need to do as individuals ascending higher in devotion and in personal philosophy. So keep a definite lookout for that. That is coming very, very soon.
And definitely a must read. Once again, Linwood, a very big thank you for your time. You're absolutely great as always. Looking forward to having you again soon. Do us a favor, keep us up to date. Love you back on in 2021 and beyond. And don't forget to keep in touch. You've got some amazing wisdom out there. And I love learning from you as always.
Thank you. Thank you.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing web solutions which are a cut above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, Custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hi, this is Mia Mosinzia, also known as Mia No Time for Love. Check out my latest book, Missing: Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People Based upon Real Life Relationship, available in print and ebook formats on Amazon. Do read it. I'm sure you'll love it. It's www.miamosinzia.com and www.amazon.com/miamosinzia.
Thanks for listening to The Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartradio, iTunes, YouTube, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Please support our program with your donations at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again next time for another great episode of The Mike Wagner Show.